At university, I woke up at 4:45 a.m. every single day, 7 days a week. It was the first time in my life that I woke up that early on a consistent basis, because it was only at university that I realized how waking up early could double my productivity throughout the day. So let me take you back to when I was at high school. I hated waking up early. I mean, honestly, I absolutely hated it. Every morning I had to wake up at 7 a.m. just for school, and it was just awful. So when my alarm clock went off, I'd feel exhausted, and every part of my body would be telling me to hit the snooze button and continue sleeping. Fast forward a few years to university, and I made a complete U-turn. I went from hating waking up at 7 a.m. to actively wanting to wake up at 4:45 a.m. I went from struggling to wake up at 7 every morning to relatively easily being able to wake up at 4:45 every morning. And I'll tell you how I did that, because there are some really quite simple strategies that you can implement so you can wake up super early in a kind of easy way. And I'll talk about those strategies later on in the video. But first, I just launched my first ever Skillshare course. It's absolutely free for the next couple of weeks. It's called Study Smarter, Not Harder, Decrease Your Study Time by 50%. And I go through basically from A to Z how to decrease the number of hours you study by studying more efficiently. I hate this idea of people studying 12 hours a day when it's just not necessary. You can click on the link in the description below. Like I said, the course will be completely free for the next couple of weeks, so you have nothing to lose. So I'll talk a bit about why I love waking up at 4:45 a.m. and how it significantly increased my productivity. But first and foremost, I'm at my most productive in the morning. So as soon as I wake up, I feel at my most productive. Then in the afternoon, my energy levels kind of start to drop and I feel a bit tired and lethargic. So my productivity takes a hit. Then a few hours later, in the late afternoon, evening and nighttime, my energy levels recover and I'm productive again. So it makes sense to get at least a few hours of studying done first thing in the morning, right? So at university at 4:45 a.m, the first thing I'd do is shower. Then I'd go to the gym for an hour and get that out of the way early on in the day, and then go to the library to study. And I'd arrive at the library at around 7:15 a.m. And this was motivational in itself because I was almost always the first student in the library. So studying in the library when I knew that most other people were sleeping or just waking up, like I was doing something different to everyone else. As the saying goes, to be an anomaly, you have to act like one, right? So sitting down in the morning to study, I'd study for about 3 hours during the day, but it would be intense studying. I mean, I would get more done in this 3 hours of studying than I probably would in the entire day, which is crazy to think about, just because I had no distractions and I was completely focused on my work. And I talk quite a lot about how to make your studying more efficient without having to be studying crazy hours. The more intense and focused your studying is, the fewer hours you have to study. My entire Transform Your Grades in 30 Days course is kind of based around that premise. It gives you everything you need to know to completely level up your studying and your grades in one neat package. You can check it out, there's a link in the description below. And to this very day, I still wake up super early because there are far fewer distractions in the morning. No one is messaging me on Facebook, no one is emailing me, no one is asking for help. And it's a few hours before anyone else in my house wakes up. So it's completely silent, and as a result, I can enter into a state of flow relatively easily. And so I can get more work done in the first 3 hours in the morning than I do the rest of the day. Another kind of positive side effects to this is because I've had a really productive morning, that positive momentum carries me throughout the day. So not only have I got a lot done in the morning, but now I feel more motivated and energized to continue the day with that level of productivity. And that's a big deal. I mean, how many times, I know at least for me, if I've had a really unproductive morning, then it's likely that the rest of my day will continue being unproductive. But if I have a really productive morning, then the rest of my day will probably be productive too. So waking up early is really good for my frame of mind. How often do you find yourself in a frantic rush in the morning to leave the house on time to go to school or university? Leaving in a stressful state is not an ideal way to start your day. Instead, you can wake up, say, 2 hours earlier and get an hour of focused studying done. Get some exercise done, maybe you can meditate too and have a healthy breakfast or read a chapter of a book. It's a far less stressful and more pleasant way to start your day, right? So then, you know the benefits of waking up early. Now is the hardest part. How do you do it? And I've kind of gone through this transition where I've really struggled to wake up every morning to then waking up at 4:45 relatively easily. So how did I do it? And it's really quite simple. I built a structure of habits around me. So a set of very basic actions that I carried out every single morning, 7 days a week. So first off, I'd make sure I was in bed by 9 p.m. every night. Now that was non-negotiable non-negotiable, and this is often what people have the most problems with. They set an alarm for the morning and they wonder why they can't wake up in the morning, but really they're doing it backwards. They should be setting an alarm for the night time, for when they need to be in bed by, because if you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, it will be a lot easier to wake up in the morning when your alarm goes off. And secondly, I had a solid nighttime routine. I realized that if I watch YouTube videos at nighttime, then I wouldn't be able to fall asleep for at least an hour. And I realized that when watching YouTube videos, my mind is kind of stimulated, and so I start to feel more awake than more tired. And that's obviously a problem, right? So I've realized that reading a book or listening to a podcast or even just watching a film on Netflix makes me fall asleep a lot faster. And for the first few weeks, it was difficult. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really had to use self-discipline to go to sleep early and wake up early, especially when my alarm went off in the morning. But eventually, after probably 2 or 3 weeks, it wasn't long before it started to become a habit. So it started to become easy to wake up at 4:45 a.m. In fact, it would get to the point where it got so easy that I would naturally wake up 5 or 10 minutes before my alarm clock went off. And the third thing I did was that I woke up and I went to bed at the same time every day, 7 days a week. Now, this is really important. I think it's a big reason why it became so easy for me to sleep early and to wake up early. And it works because our bodies have their own regulatory system called the circadian rhythm. It's a kind of internal clock that makes your body feel alert during the day and sleep at night. And waking up and going to bed at the same time each day can help your internal clock keep a regular schedule. So once your body adjusts to your schedule after you've been waking up and going to sleep at the same time, let's say for a couple of weeks, then it will become far easier. Now, there is one caveat to all of this. There have been several studies that show that some people are early birds and others are night owls. It's in our genetics, there's not a lot we can do about it. But there's a theory that hundreds of thousands of years ago, when we were cavemen and living in tribes, most of the tribe would sleep at night, but a few people had to stay awake overnight to guard the camp from predators like saber-toothed tigers and lions and snakes and whatnot. So some people have evolved to naturally be more awake at nighttime. Now, that's just a theory. I don't know whether it's true, but it does kind of make sense. But even if you are a night owl, I would suggest at least trying to wake up early for a period of a month or 2 months, because for my whole life up until university, I thought that I was a night owl too, and it turns out I'm absolutely not. And if you want more advice on how to wake up early, because honestly it changed my life in the way that I live in terms of productivity and just general overall happiness, I made a video on how I easily wake up at 4:45 a.m. every morning. I go into it in more detail than this video, and I also made a video on how I stay productive when I'm feeling unmotivated. Both are really important videos when it comes to productivity. And again, my Skillshare course on how to study smarter rather than harder is absolutely free. Link down below, and I'll see you over there.